How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing very well today. I decided to do something a little bit different for the intro and just show you guys what I'm unlocking for my custom mode run. I'm going to really be struggling on this custom mode just because I'm trying to find different weapons to offset the issues with the electric whip. And this is a weapon that I've never really seriously taken a look at before, but I have a win with it. It was a long time ago when it was on stream. You can follow me on Twitch. I'll leave a link in the description. But I'm generally really trying to find good melee weapons to offset the issues with the electric whip. And the main issue is that it actually does not do that much damage. It's a 3-hit combo, and the third strike is a little more powerful than the other two. And the main issue comes when you're dealing with enemies that are really, really bulky. Towards the end of the game, you'll see that I'm able to get good hits off and things like that, but you do need all three of those combinations. So I try to take different weapons such as the spike boots, the frantic sword, amongst others, and then, I'm trying to get different skills to deal with it as well. Shrapnel axes is up there as well. Just really, really good melee weapons that can help me out. So different skills that I have the corrupted power, the knife dance, things like that. And yeah, so I hope you guys really enjoy this run. I'm really excited for the Bad Seed update. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with that yet. Like I said, I work pretty much all day. So when I get back around 8 Eastern, I should be able to start doing some stuff. So I'm really excited for that. And without further ado, enjoy the run, everybody. So we're going to start off running away. Because this Rampager accidentally aggro it. I'm not exactly sure what happened. And I don't really want to get hit because I have 17 and getting the 30 for prisoner quarters isn't needed, but it's really nice to have. And this is kind of a weird mob to deal with because it's 3 enemies that I don't really like having to deal with, but luckily I'm able to get out of it because I'm able to use my grenade on it, and I'm good to go from there. So now I'm going to use the Ram Rune on that bomber. Going to aggro this runner, but the elite runner decides, okay, we're just going to teleport anywhere and everywhere. So now we have to figure this out, and then, okay, now we should be okay. And we're just going to kind of just go anywhere. Now I realize, oh yeah, there's water over here, so now we can just hit everything for critical damage, and we're good to go. The nice thing about these electric weapons is that they will do critical damage, and they'll also stun enemies. So that's your lightning bolts of the world, your thunder shields, and your electric whips. So that's pretty cool. I wish there was a way to get water in Dead Cells. Maybe that'll be there for Bad Seed. Who knows? Maybe, probably not though. I know I'm the only one who's brought this up, maybe. So I don't know. Probably not though. Right here is going to be where I take a lot of unfortunate hits because I just get kind of screwed over by a bad mob. The Bombardier causes me a lot of problems. So I lose about half my health right there just from that. So that was really unfortunate for me. And I took the War Spear, which I have said is the worst melee weapon in the game by far. I noted in my last run that I do have a win with it. It doesn't mean that it turned out well. I did get a win, but it was very, very sloppy. So we do have that Monster's Eye, and we can get back to 94%, so we're okay there. We're able to... The powerful grenade is really helping right now, because with these mobs, what I'm struggling with is getting damage off very quickly, because I can't hit multiple enemies at once. So that's something that I really struggled with throughout the majority of this run. So the powerful grenade, which I changed to the fire grenade because I think it's just better overall. We're going to see me barely avoid a knife thrower hit right there. It was like, 2 pixels away from dying, so very lucky there. But the grenades really helped me. Like I said earlier, my skills did a lot for me in this run. Without them, I would not have been able to do it. And you can say that about any run, but this run in particularly, it really, really felt like that. So my biggest tip to new Dead Cells players, if you're running Brutality, use the grenades. Honestly, use the grenades. We're able to clear out the curse because War Spear does well in certain biome situations such as this, where I have only a small little mob to deal with. Generally, it's not very good. The very nice thing about these thorny elites is that if they're stuck somewhere, like on a turret or like with biters, something like that, they're going to turn around. So if you have like a ranged weapon, you're good to go. I barely avoid that slasher, but I'm able to down smash, get the kill off. We're hanging in there. That promenade thing was really bad at first, but since then we've actually done really well. In Prison Depths, we didn't take a hit. Somehow I didn't take a hit in Prison Depths. We decided to go for a Shrapnel Axis because Shrapnel Axis is one of the best melee weapons in the entire game. The reason I took that was because I really wanted the Open Wounds mutation to be on this build. And so what that allows me to do is to get Bleed Synergy for my Electric Whip. And you may be wondering, oh, I already have a Cleaver. Why not just use that? The thing is, I don't have a way to do any sort of cooldown. And Cleaver, it's a pretty short cooldown, admittedly, but the problem comes when you're dealing with a crazy mob or like a boss or something like that, especially with bosses. So you get that hit off, and then what you can do is that you can use the Shrapnel Axis or whatever melee weapon I use in this game, and then immediately get some Bleed Synergy. That's the main reason that I did that. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little bit of weird logic, but that's essentially why I did that. We're going to throw the Fire Grenade on the spawner, get those kills off the Corpse Juices. They are one of the scariest enemies to deal with when you're cursed, because there's a lot of those little guys running around. We're going to just fire away from the Shrapnel Axis, taking advantage of that utility. Get the far away kill. And we have one more left on the Curse Chest, and we're going to get that quick kill on the Inquisitor, and we're going to clear that. And now is the time for the Concierge battle. And we do have some range functionality with both Shrapnel as well as the Whip. We're going to try to take advantage of that as much as we can. Getting hits off on this boss is going to be a little bit difficult, and again, just taking advantage of the fact that I have amazing skills right now. I have my Fire Grenade working well, I have my Cleaver working amazingly well, barely avoid getting hit right there. Concierge, when he backs you up like that, I feel it's like a 50-50 chance for you getting hit, so it can be a bit challenging sometimes. The thing about Shrapnel Axis, too, against Concierge is that you can't do the entire 5-hit combination because he's going to fire off the Shockwave as soon as he can. So you can only, at most, get 4 hits off, but we're able to no-hit. So that felt really, really nice to be able to do. And like I said, like the run is going relatively decent so far. There's going to be some moments in which I'm, questioning the legitimacy of this build and furthermore the legitimacy of the Electric Whip. I know in the past, like, I've done these kind of showcase runs where it's been like, oh, like, I'm using this weapon and that weapon, but in reality I'm doing something else. Like, for example, my Hakuto's Bow Swarm was more of like a Hakuto's Bow showcase. That, I would say, was more like Hakuto's Bow, Bloodthirsty sort of thing. I would like to think in this run I did a more healthy approach when it came to using the stuff that I was supposed to be using. So in this case, it was more of my Electric Whip. But the reality says that it's more of like a Fire Grenade sort of showcase. So now we have to deal with the shield for this knife thrower. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to wait for him to throw his shield. We're going to throw the grenade. We're going to do most of the damage with that. And then we're just going to repeat the process. Just go back around, clear out the shield, and then get the kill. So very, very fortunate that we weren't dealing with anything bad. Amulets were not good in this run because I didn't get more than 2, and it was in the very last level. So 2 meaning 2 in red. This is the first hit that I believe I end up taking in Stilt Village. My first hit in a little bit of time. And we are actually going to do something different on this channel. We are going to Clock Tower. Why? I don't know. I just wanted to do something different, I guess. I don't really go to Clock Tower because a couple main reasons. One, the only option to do Clock Tower is to go into Timekeeper. And I used to go to Timekeeper all the time back in 1.4 because in 1.4 Timekeeper was more significantly easier. And this Timekeeper fight is going to prove why I go to Giant most of the time, because I don't run shields a lot, and you kind of need a shield to be able to deal with Timekeeper. But Clock Tower, you can only go to Timekeeper. So I almost always go to Sepulcher because Sepulcher gives me the option if I choose to go to Timekeeper, which is about like 5% of the time at this point, because Giant... And the other thing is, Timekeeper only gives me +2 in my scroll, in the scroll fragments, whereas the Giant actually will give me +4. So this Timekeeper fight, well, it's going to go very, very badly. This is... I know I've said in the past that you need a shield for certain bosses like the Giant and stuff like that, but you don't really need a shield in the Giant, but you definitely need one in Timekeeper because she teleports and attacks really, really fast. So it is a bit of a problem. I wish there was a way to kind of deal with her teleporting, like maybe if she didn't teleport as fast. She doesn't do that much damage. She did get nerfed in 1.5 a little bit. And I think part of it is also I'm just running a really low damage type of build. We are forced to heal. This final phase actually goes a lot better than I expected. And honestly, I have the cleaver to thank for that. And I forgot to mention this, but we actually took a phaser. And what the phaser does is allow me to get very, very quick kills, especially on that third strike for the electric whip. So that's the main reason I did that. Again, I'm fortunate that I have a lot of health on this build. Like, I have a ton of health. And that's the main reason I didn't die here. Because if you notice, like, I really wasn't taking a lot of damage, but I was getting hit so many times. Timekeeper is very difficult without a shield. Very difficult to no-hit. But anyway, so we're up in High Peak Castle now. And we're going to kind of try to maneuver around this demon and the upward laser. And that's where Phaser really comes in handy, because we can Phaser an enemy and then do some strikes with the electric whip. That actually gets me a lot more damage than what originally I was planning to do. We take a really bad hit against the Royal Guard. We only end up losing around like 10% or so, but it's still 10%. So we're at 50 now. So 50%. So there is a certain weapon I talked about earlier that I had unlocked for situations exactly like this. And you're going to see me take that. And this weapon is going to save the run from complete disaster. So we talk about me having the wrong showcase. So this is a dual showcase run. So this is a whip run, and it's going to be the weapon that you guys are going to see in a little bit as we get the kill. And I love having my intro screen be certain elite kills. It's always really fun to do. But this weapon, as you've probably already guessed by now, is the Frantic Sword, and I am exactly at 50%. Call it luck, call it fate, call it whatever you want, but we have a Frantic Sword exactly at 50%. And what that means is I'm going to be able to start getting kills very, very quickly on enemies. So, drop the cleaver, phaser, smack them with the Frantic Sword. Next one, we're going to go over to the Thorny. We're not going to smack him, but we're going to use the electric whip instead because I am not dealing with that at all. I don't show the kills with the Dark Tracker because I forgot to upload that, but whatever. Hand of the King, this is honestly one of the best fights I've ever had against Hand of the King. Because keep in mind, I'm only at 50% damage. I can't take many hits. So my strategy is... So, sometimes you have to go on those ice platforms, right? And then you have to jump off. So what I'm going to do, jump on the ice platform, either use the phaser, or I'm going to use the electric whip, as you can see right there. So that ended up doing a lot for me, because it gives me that suspension in the air that I desperately needed. We are able to get through that first phase without getting hit. And I should have realized this in the actual run, but the electric whip will actually hit enemies that are above in the ice platform. So I could have gotten more hits on that disgusting worm. But anyway, so use the phaser. We're somehow able to avoid the Hand of the King, doing that 3-strike combo. We are going to get up to the ice platform. Use our Lacerating Aura, because Lacerating Aura is one of the best melee mutations in the game. We're going to avoid these bombs one last time. And then we're going to finally finish him off with the Frantic Sword. So right before he starts that 3-strike combo, we kill him. We no-hit him, which is extremely, extremely important. Because one hit knocks me down to 1 HP, or knocks me down to like 5% or 10%. But at that point, I would have to take the heal potion because if I got hit again, I would die. There's no life steal mechanic at that point. I don't see that elite at all. So I take a slight hit, but we're okay. We are now... we have a +1 in red, +3 in... what is it? Tactics. So we are going to get a +2 at some point in there for the first time, which is really strange to me. But it is what it is. Sometimes you just get really bad RNG. You're going to see kind of a really funny kill right here. I just used the lacerating R, just chill on the ladder. That was not a mob that I was going to be able to deal with under any circumstances, so I said screw it. We're going to let this librarian die to poison damage, and we're going to wait for this elite, or not the elite, the failed experiment to start striking me, kill the protector. We're good to go. So you can see I don't have a high damage output, and I'm generally not doing much damage against enemies in general, so it is a bit of a problem, but the phaser is more than making up for it. The electric whip also helps because I have the suspension for killing enemies. We're going to take care of this slammer, and this failed experiment's going to act a little bit weird. So because the biters were acting bizarre, like the failed experiment never aggroed towards me, and it just never attacked me in general. So somehow I get the kill, whatever. I get the +2 amulet, and we're finally going to hit up the collector. And this is going to be a really interesting fight because, again, I'm running that frantic sword. It has damage to... it creates a toxic cloud. So, and I have extra poison damage on pretty much everything. So, we pretty much have to no-hit this boss or take very minimal damage. Like, we can't get hit by that down smash. And even then, it's not doing too much damage. But we do force a heal, so that's nice. But that's the only thing we're going to get before he goes up to the second phase. So what I'm scared of at this point is having to fight the enemies again. Because after that second time of fighting the enemies, the rooms become a little bit harder. So we just have to get as much damage off as we can. So we use both the skills. Phaser really saved me in this run. And I don't typically use Phaser unless it's Assassin's Dagger, just because I can't really find a good way to use it. But in this case, it worked out amazingly for me because it really allowed me to use the phaser, or use both my frantic sword and my electric whip in the way I wanted. We'll get him on the third heal. We're going to keep just smacking him over and over and over again. We are almost at the end where he's going to drop the Panacea. He's going to do his little rolling thing. We are somehow managing. I don't know how we're doing this. Electric Whip actually did a lot more than I was originally going to give credit for. I almost get hit by all of these attacks because I was rolling the wrong way initially, but we get him to drop the Panacea. We're going to pick it up, heal, and we're going to let him do his little rolling thing. We're going to use the phaser, just start smacking him. We do have to avoid him a few more times, but now Lacerating Aura after he does the upward laser, or whatever that attack is called. But Lacerating Aura, smack him over with that frantic sword, and that is the run. Very interesting run, honestly. It isn't my typical flashy sort of thing that I do, but there was a lot of elements to it that I don't typically do. Like, I never go to Timekeeper, I never go to Clock Tower, but more so, having to adapt on the fly to the fact that this build was just not working after Sepulchre. Or after Clock Tower, excuse me. So I was having a lot of trouble with the Timekeeper and in High Peak Castle with that Spike Boots. And like I said, Spike Boots needs like a shield basically to operate. So once I took that Frantic Sword, my entire run changed. I only took one hit, and it was a very tiny hit from a failed experiment. I got one of my best ever Hand of the King fights. The Collector fight was amazing. And yeah, I mean, Electric Whip is a solid-ish support weapon. As a main weapon, it's mediocre at best. I still feel very justified putting it in the C tier for my tier list. It's simply not that great, unfortunately. But, there are some uses to it. So, again, I hope you guys really enjoyed this run. Like I said before, I'm so excited for the Bad Seed. It's just counting down the days. And as soon as I figure out what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave a comment in the community tab. You guys can check that out about what I'm going to do. Probably some sort of live commentary sort of thing. I'll try to get it uploaded that night itself. And yeah, thank you again for joining me. It always means a lot when you guys are up in the comments and commenting on what you guys like, don't like. I love the feedback that you guys give me. Leave a like, subscribe for more Dead Cells content, and have a great night, everybody.